Nobody deserves this more than him, and nobody deserves this more than his family does. This is what happens when the machine comes after you. What you've seen over the last several years, this is what it looks like.
Dana White and Donald Trump. A brotherhood built on loyalty. Dana White and Donald Trump have built a strong friendship over the years, one that goes beyond business. But how did it all start? And why is the president of the UFC so loyal to the former president of the United States? Let's dive into the history of this unlikely duo. How Trump helped save the UFC. The UFC was not always the global powerhouse it is today. In the early 2000s, mixed martial arts had a bad reputation. Politicians labeled it as human cockfighting, and major cities refused to sanction events. Las Vegas, the fight capital of the world, wouldn't even allow a UFC event to take place. Dana White, who had just taken over as UFC president in 2001, was running out of options. Without major venues willing to host events, the UFC was struggling to survive. That's when Donald Trump stepped in. At the time, Trump was looking to bring high-profile events to his Atlantic City casino, the Trump Taj Mahal. Despite the controversy surrounding MMA, Trump saw its potential and took a gamble, hosting a UFC event when nobody else would. That single decision kept the UFC alive at a critical moment. White never forgot that. As he put it, nobody took us seriously, except for Donald Trump. Years later, Trump returned the favor by putting UFC star Tito Ortiz on his hit show, Celebrity Apprentice, introducing the sport to a mainstream audience. For Dana White, this was more than just business, it was personal. Trump's deep connection to combat sports. Trump's involvement in the fight business didn't stop with the UFC. He has always been a major fan of boxing, MMA, and WWE, frequently attending fights and working closely with Vince McMahon. He even took part in WWE's famous Battle of the Billionaires storyline, where he helped shave Vince McMahon's head in front of a global audience. But Trump didn't just watch fights, he invested in them. His love for MMA led him to buy a major stake in the Affliction fight promotion, which competed directly against the UFC.
Obviously, the great stars, a sellout crowd. What do you look forward to in the future for the promotion?
Just a winner. It's a great group of people. I could get this guy over here right now. He's fantastic. But this is a great group of people, and we've got a real winner. Thank you.
Affliction offered huge paydays to fighters, even making a record-breaking offer to MMA legend Fedor Emelianenko. They wanted to dethrone the UFC as the top MMA organization. But Dana White never waged war with Trump. He knew Affliction was doomed to fail, and he was right. Dana White's public support for Trump.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are 9 days away from the most important election of my lifetime. Stakes have never been higher, and the choice has never been clearer.
When Donald Trump launched his presidential campaign in 2016, Dana White became one of his most vocal supporters. While many celebrities and business leaders distanced themselves from politics, White did the opposite. He took the stage at the Republican National Convention and endorsed Trump in front of millions. White called him a great leader and a great friend. Since then, Dana White has been a key figure in Trump's campaigns. He has spoken at multiple rallies, donated to Trump's campaigns, sat front and center at his 2025 presidential inauguration. While White has worked with politicians on both sides of the aisle to legalize MMA, his personal loyalty has always been with Trump. Trump and the UFC, a perfect match. Trump's presence at UFC events has become a spectacle of its own.
The sound in this room is so loud in here. It is so loud. It's always loud when he comes here, but now that he's won, now that he's the president again, oh my God.
The UFC fan base is overwhelmingly pro-Trump, and he has embraced that connection. Even during his legal battles, when many businesses distanced themselves, Dana White stood by Trump's side. He continued welcoming him to UFC events, treating him like the VIP that he is. At major UFC pay-per-views, Trump's grand entrances rival those of the fighters. With Secret Service agents by his side, he walks through the crowd, shaking hands and getting a hero's welcome. Meanwhile, many UFC fighters openly support Trump, posting about him on social media and praising him in interviews. For Trump, the UFC audience is a natural fit for his brand. For Dana White, his loyalty to Trump has never wavered. The future of their friendship. Dana White and Donald Trump's relationship has lasted more than 2 decades. What started as a simple business deal has become one of the strongest friendships in sports and politics. As Trump prepares for another presidential term, White is expected to continue supporting him. Likewise, Trump will likely continue making high-profile appearances at UFC events. This friendship isn't going anywhere. What do you think about Dana White's loyalty to Donald Trump? Let us know in the comments. And if you love deep dives into MMA's biggest stories, hit that like button and subscribe for more content. See you in the next one.